Okay, today is video number 4 on things we've learned in our marriage, and today we are going to be talking about wants and needs and communicating those. So, when we were first married, I don't know, maybe we'd been married a year, I was talking to a friend and she told me that her husband called her, I think 3 times a day from work, and just to check in on her and see how she was doing. And I thought, I'm like not allowed to call Shane while he's at work. Like, I was so jealous. And so I thought, that is what I want. I want Shane to call me. I want that attention. I want that love.
It became a demand.
It's a demand. It's like, you need to call me because this is so important to me and I need you to call me. And so I told Shane, and then he started calling me. And then after like 2 weeks, I got kind of annoyed. I'm like, stop calling me. I can't talk to you whenever you call. Like, And then I had this epiphany, and I realized somebody else's wants and needs aren't my wants and needs. And I mean, that makes so much sense, but I think that's really easy to do in marriage. You see something that somebody else's spouse is doing or something, and you're like, oh, like, why don't I have that? Or I want my spouse to do that or something. But just like looking inside of you and really figuring out, like, what do I really want? What really is important to me, before just like telling your spouse all the things that they're not doing. Like, you're not calling me from work. You're not, because maybe you don't even want those things.
And it becomes a point of contention where you're basing it off of someone else, and then, oh, I missed a day. Oh, you don't love me as much as her husband loves her, and that's just not reality.
Yeah. So it was kind of ridiculous. When I brought it up to him, I was so mad. Like, I can't believe you don't call me. Like, oh, you're so mean, so selfish. Like,
it was less sassy than that. But.
Oh, I felt like well, that's what I felt inside. I was like, oh, like, he's just a workaholic. And I made it bigger in my mind. Anyways, it wasn't even something I really wanted. So communicating your wants and needs is really important. And then also being patient after you communicate your wants and needs. In case they don't fulfill it like you thought they were going to. There
was a moment where Catherine gave some really clear expectations for a want. That was it your birthday?
Yeah.
It was her birthday, and she said, all I want is a card with you to write me a note about why you like me. And I thought, great, I can do that. But I don't want to just do a boring card. That doesn't seem like very much fun. So I made one of those, like, I don't know, you'll probably know what this is. One of those paper things with, like, the numbers on them, and, like, pick a number,
like a little pyramid.
Flip it over, yeah. And so I made one of those and wrote the numbers on it, and under each, like, flap was a different reason why I liked Catherine.
But, so I tell him, like, this is all I want. So he, like, goes in the other room, writes me a note. I was thinking, he comes back, brings back.
Took a lot of time on that.
Yeah. He brings back this origami thing. I'm like, I don't want origami. Like, I don't want to play a game. I just want to read a note about why you like me. And so I do the little number thing, and then I open up the first flap, and it's just a drawing of a pineapple.
And
I was so mad.
I just, on like one of them, I'm just going to do something totally random because it'll be super funny. She'll go through all these different ones and be like, pineapple? What? Oh, that's so funny.
Anyways, but it was the first one that I landed on. And I was like,
she was already ticked that I didn't do a legit card.
Yeah, I was like, how could you mess this up? It was so simple. I just freaking asked you to write me a card. But anyways, it got better. But that's just kind of a silly example. But I mean, there's bigger things that are, maybe more serious or more important to you. Like, hey, this is important to me that we do these things in our home. Or these are wants that I have, that we spend time together as a family, or, whatever your wants and what your needs are. It's really important to communicate them. I remember when I first got married, my mom told me to be careful how I acted in my marriage, because I was setting a foundation of patterns for the rest of my marriage, and just to be careful about a lot of things. So for example, sometimes in a marriage it can be easy to self-sacrifice too much. Like, oh, I'll help you. Like, I'll make you dinner. Like, I'll wash the clothes. Like, oh, you had a hard day. Let me help you. It's all about you. And that's not sustainable, to just be thinking about the other person the whole time. And on the other side of the spectrum, one person can be too demanding. Like, when you get home from work, you have to help with XYZ, and you need to do this and this and this and this. So there's obviously these two sides of the spectrum where you can be self-sacrificing too much, or you can be too demanding.
And in an ideal scenario, it's going to shift. Like, one person's going to be self-sacrificing a bunch, and then the other person's going to step in relatively soon, and they're going to be self-sacrificing. And it's going to feed back and forth, because just the way life works, it's not just this, hey, every life is the same day in and day out. Someone's going to have a hard day, and when I have a hard day, Catherine steps up and is super supportive. And when she has a hard day, I step up and I'm super supportive. And ideally, that's how it goes. It should go back and forth, but it's really dangerous if one person is just always the self-sacrificer, and that there's never a balance to that. And it's really important to openly communicate about that.
Yeah, and sometimes those back and forths will be maybe like a month at a time. You know, maybe someone's having a crazy month or a semester in school or something. But just to be careful that you don't get into those patterns and those habits. I think I kind of got into that a little bit after I finished school and Shane was working a lot. I felt like I was kind of fell into the self-sacrificing role a little too much. And I think he just kind of got comfortable with it and used to it. Like, Catherine does everything. Like, that's just how it is. And I kind of freaked out. I was like, I can't do this. And it's just not sustainable. So talking about that is really important. In one of the marriage retreats that we went to, the man that was the keynote speaker, he was amazing. Jonathan Sandberg was his name. And after one of his presentations, he's a marriage therapist. He has a PhD in it. And after his presentation, I went up and I asked him, I said, how do you know if you're self-sacrificing too much or if you're too demanding of your spouse? And he said, that's something that you need to talk to your spouse about and to the Lord. And I just loved that advice. I thought it was so wise. Just, it makes sense. Like, we have to communicate. Like, I can't carry this much burden, or he can't, or I can't sacrifice this much, or you can't. And anyways, we took that advice to heart, and we went to the Lord, and we went to each other, and it's something that we've tried just keeping really open in our marriage. So,
yep.
Yeah, so that's it.